Craze in 10 or less. This is the show where I give it to you in 10 minutes or under. And if I don't, that's probably because I'm tired. Anyway, the lessons I learned from my first event, big event, in over a decade. That's the topic of the day. I'm Sam the Crazy Man Vera. Stop acting up. Let's get it. All right, so it is 7 a.m. It's the day after my 3-day event at the Fan Expo. And I'm about to work out, so I decided I needed to get this done because normally I record the show on Sundays, and so it's Monday. And I'm not sure how long this is going to go, but we'll see. So, first and foremost, the event went well for me. I was nervous about it. So, when you can make back the table, when you can make back your travel expenses, which is gas really, parking expenses. I had to pay $15 a day for parking, and make a profit. That was huge. So it was a good event. It could have been better, and I'll tell you why. So what I've seen was, although there were ticket sales of 80,000, right? That doesn't mean anything for the Artist Alley arena. It means is that the celebrities are the big draw. It means is that the big names in comics are the big draw. It means that the cosplayers are there for the contest. It means that the gamers are there for the competitions, right? So, and the collectors are there for the collectibles. So where did that leave us in Artist Alley? It was a big pit. There was over 100 artists in Artist Alley. Huge section allocated for it. But the aisles were not set up to support mainstream creators with independent creators. And here's why. So you have mainstream creators that work for the big two, right? Mainstream, they have a name, they have books in the titles, books that fans love, whether they wrote or illustrated for Batman or Superman or X-Men. So they would have lines of people wanting signatures of their books. That impeded on the space of the artists, the independent creators. Not just independent creators, but the entrepreneurs, because you had people who in Artist Alley who made trinkets and little tchotchke stuff. And then you just had the traditional artists that were just selling prints. They weren't really comic artists. They were print artists, right? And so they were selling their artwork. So you had these lines that were just blocking rows of tables. So I think that was inconsiderate of the event promoters to not understanding that if you want to continue, and unfortunately the indie artist always wants to be able to go to a venue, and these are some of the pitfalls of being at those venues. So what does that do? When you have that encroachment, when you have that line, people don't want to walk down the aisle because it's tight enough as it is, right? And so people will bypass that line, and sometimes those lines were there for 3-4 hours. So that's one. When you're a all ages, family friendly creator, it's also difficult because the majority of the content is adult themed. I can't tell you how much TNA I've seen in art. And in comics that people were in the creators were creating, and the prints that were there, it was everywhere, and that's what people were gobbling up, TNA, right? So it was harder for the people like me who create all ages stuff, because you have to stand out. You need something to be able to catch somebody's attention, but not only catch their attention, because when you do catch their attention, there's just that awkwardness that happens, right? And it hasn't failed. People come, they see, they look, and then you make eye contact, and they get nervous and they walk away. And so it threw my wife off because she's not used to this. She doesn't do Comic Cons with me at all. This is the first time she's done it with me in 14 years, because she's done it with me maybe twice and said, I'm not doing this again. And the one thing she says, she goes, Sam, I'm trying to say hello, but every time I make eye contact, they walk away. They get nervous. And I can't wrap my head around, because You come over to the table, you walk over the table, you like what you see, and the moment the creator starts talking, you walk away, and that happened dozens and dozens and dozens of times. It was just a weird thing. Um, then the same thing that happens all the time. Families, they bring their kids. The kids like what they see. The adults have their own agenda. They want to buy whatever they want. Screw the kids. So they're not letting the kids go and pick what they want. So there was at least 80% of that had happened, right? So those are the challenges. And so while I was surprised that I did as well as I did, considering all those challenges, I think what worked to my advantage was uh, it was themed, right? I was themed. So there's nailing on my toilet. 80% of my table was duty paraphernalia, and the other 20% was all the other stuff that I created. So it was themed. Number two, we had the shirts on. And number three, anytime that I would engage somebody who did not turn away out of nervousness or who did not walk away quickly and says, "Leave me alone, stranger, bad man," I capitalize on it, right? So it makes you start thinking, is this the right venue for me, right? These big shows, are they the right venue? Or are you going to be swallowed up by the mainstream and the celebrities and the cosplay and the gaming? Or are the more localized, smaller independent shows where they bring 4 or 5,000 people? Not those independent shows that only bring 300, 400 people. It's not really going to help you. They bring the 4 or 5,000 because out of that, you got to think of it. Look at it as a percentage scale, right? So you say, if I get 1 to 2% of the population, that's good for me, right? So I think more independent focused Comic Cons or children's focused events are what I need to be looking for based on what I create, or have a booth which basically out. There's no way I'm going to make that money back. When you think about a booth, right? You have to have a fan base, a draw to be able to justify having a booth. In an area where you don't have to worry about those lines blocking you. So I think those are the challenges. So all those things you have to consider when you're out there, because I was sitting next to somebody who create trinkets and gadgets and charms and magnets with her artwork, not comic related. And next to her was a guy who did t-shirts and prints. And then across from us was a bunch of guys that did prints. It was all prints. There were no comics. And then I had one indie creator with us who had ash cans next to us on the right. So it was very diverse in Artist Alley, but there was no specific theme in Artist Alley. It was just whoever can afford a table is in there, right? So whatever it is, whether you're an artist, so whatever you want. So a lot of takeaways. Locate, if you can control your location. In this place, I couldn't, because I was supposed to be in one place, which was ideal. It was right by where everybody comes in, and they moved me to the back, right next to some of the mainstream creators that had lines blocking our aisle, which sucked. But overall, I had a positive experience. I was surprised we did as well as we did. Duty was it. I took 3 specific graphic tees, all different images to see what people want, and all 3 sold immediately. So they didn't last on the table a day. I just took one of each, and just large, and that was it. And they scooped them up, and so that was a good sign for me that the graphics that I chose were appealing enough for people. So I'm going to go back to the lab and rethink my strategy for conventions. And, do I want to do the big ones, or do I want to find shows where I'm going to have a fighting chance and where I have more of a say in where I'm going to be, or at least there's an opportunity for an all ages creator like me to have a even better showing. So again, it's TNA, it's adult themed content. It's the collectibles. Cosplay still dominates everything, and cosplayers, they don't have wallets. So it was all about step and repeat and social media posting and playing. dress up. So with that said, I had a good experience. I'll be back in October. It's a smaller fan expo. This one's 20,000, so I'm hoping that that one is even better. But I have a show in August, the Denton Comet Art Expo. It's an all ages family event. That's my arena that I should have fun at and do well. But with that said, thank you to all the new dudesters, everybody who supported the book. Thank you to everybody who ordered the commissions, and those of you who've placed some orders for commissions that I'll be working on soon. So, really good event. Again, just do your homework, and figure out whether or not the venue is the right place for you. With that said, that's the Crazy Tale List. I appreciate everybody. If you haven't done so already, please pledge to There's an Alien in My Toilet. It is the last week. We're down to the last week, and if you're on the fence, this is now your time. Get yourself a copy of There's an Alien in My Toilet. Get a dudester. Get a sketch cover. Get the activity book, or just add on the tier that donates 6 books to Comic Book for Kids. It's a good charity. I want your pledge. I need your pledge. Duty appreciates you. Become a dudester today. I know you can. If you like this episode, give me a thumbs up. Hit like, subscribe, share it with a friend. I appreciate you. This is the Crazy Tale List. I'm Sam the Crazy Man Vera. You have a blessed day. Peace.